Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Ramneet Sran. I am a trade commissioner at Global Affairs Canada. I am based here at the Vancouver regional office. We cover British Columbia and the Yukon as our territory. I'm going to give you an overview today of what the Trade Commissioner Service does, who our clients are, what services we deliver, resources that are available to you, and funding programs that you can apply to. So you'll see here that Canada's population is only 0.5% of the global population. That means that 99.5% of our potential customers are outside of Canada. So growing global is just part of the natural business cycle. And that's where the TCS, the Trade Commissioner Service, can come in to help you. Our expertise and support can help you grow globally. And I'll be talking more about how we help Canadian companies access opportunities and grow in international markets. We help companies grow through export sales, foreign investment, and other types of international commercial activities. And we do this through our network of trade commissioners in cities worldwide. As well, our TCS funding and support programs and initiatives also support clients. Given the COVID reality, I'll touch upon some of the e-commerce initiatives that have come into play since March of this year throughout the presentation. There are 4 characteristics to defining a TCS client. To qualify for our services, companies and organizations must be part of the Canadian business community. This means you have to have a substantial presence in Canada. You don't have to be Canadian, but for example, if your company is acquired by a foreign entity, that no longer makes you Canadian, but if you continue to be based in Canada and you grow here, you're still considered a TCS client. The second point here is meaningful economic ties to Canada. So some things to keep in mind, companies, as I mentioned, must have established offices in Canada, but having a mailing address is not sufficient to be considered a TCS client. If you are registered in Canada and conduct all your activities outside of Canada, that wouldn't be considered a TCS client. But a foreign company with meaningful ties to Canada would qualify. The potential to contribute to Canada's economic growth is a third characteristic. We don't have any precise targets, but there have to be benefits to Canada in order to be eligible for our service. So that could be Canadian products and services that are being made in country, technology. We look at job creation and R&D activity. And lastly, we look for demonstrated capacity for internationalization. So a TCS client will have conducted research on foreign markets and opportunities, will have appointed resources to dedicate towards internationalization, and have a credible business plan. So I'm going to walk you through a few resources. Hopefully I can navigate some online, our webpage online here. First off, if you're wondering whether you are export ready, a very good resource is an export quiz that's available on our website. You will see the URL link listed at the bottom there. In addition, there are a number of market research studies available online, and also an online inquiry service. So if you have a question and you want to ask a trade commissioner, you can fill out our online form and a trade commissioner will respond to your request. So let me just try this here and see if this works. Sorry. So this is the Trade Commissioner Service website. This is the landing page. And what you'll notice right off the bat is we have some tabs here that point you to resources. And getting help in exporting, in learning about new markets, and connecting with the Trade Commissioner Service. As I mentioned earlier, we have some new resources that have come out to help you in your e-commerce business development. You'll notice there are a number of aspects that are covered in here, looking at digital strategy, building your global digital support team, how to protect your business in a digital environment. So there's a lot of really good resources and articles for you to tap into. The other thing that I wanted to flag is information on specific countries and sectors. So within the Trade Commissioner site, you can look up information on different countries. And a good example of this is, it's right here, I believe. So here's a good article that was just published on selling via e-commerce in the United States. And there were some additional countries that were added in here, including China and other countries around the world. The other resource that I pointed you to was the export quiz. So this is a good quiz for you to take to assess your ability to export and access new markets. So I'll pop back into the presentation here. Oops. 5. Okay. So one other area that we advise clients on is FTAs. Canada has 14 free trade agreements, and that encompasses 49 countries around the world where Canadians have preferential access to customers. One very useful tool that's available is the Tariff Finder tool here. And my colleague Serena Coe, I should have mentioned this earlier, is online, and she is adding some links into our chat so you can access some of these resources. The Tariff Finder tool allows businesses to assess the tariff rates in exporting or importing from specific countries with which we have free trade agreements. It's a very user-friendly and useful tool, so I would recommend that you have a look at that. So the key to what we do is made up by our network. And our network is made up of over 1,000 trade commissioners in 160 countries, locations around the globe. This includes our consulates, embassies, high commissions, and trade offices. Our trade commissioners have a strong presence in all of these countries. They can help you understand the complexities of doing business in the countries that they're located in. They can connect you into contacts, and best of all, working with us is free. The majority of companies that we work with are SMEs. If you're looking at accessing a new market, I would highly recommend that you reach out to us, and you'll see there that we have 6 Canadian offices. We are your first point of contact here in Canada. We will meet with you and learn more about your business needs, and then connect you to our network of colleagues around the world. So in terms of what we do, our key services are providing market insight to companies, connecting you to key contacts, sharing new business opportunities with you, and helping you resolve business problems. All of these activities combined help reduce your risk in expanding into a new country and allow for greater business opportunities. Some of the things that are helpful for us to know if you reach out to us is what is unique about your company, your product or service? Who are the end users of your product or service? Which country or regional market you are targeting? How do you plan to enter the market? And whether you will eventually visit the market or have boots on the ground. So I'll get into some of the programming now, which is probably where most of you will be interested in. The Trade Commissioner Service has some funding programs available to businesses that are looking to enter new markets and to conduct activities abroad. So the two marquee programs that we have are the CanExport SME program, as well as the CanExport Innovation program. And I'll get into more details around what these programs entail. You'll notice there that we have a couple of additional CanExport programs. One is for associations. This is national associations that are looking to access international markets. And the last is community investments. That's more on the foreign direct investment side. Again, from our website, you can navigate easily to funding and support programs, and you will find all of these programs listed there. For associations and Canadian communities, there are new application dates that have been announced. This is an old screen grab. For SMEs and for innovators, applications are open on a rolling basis. So the CanExport SME program is the largest of the 4 programs. This is a program that is meant to help companies de-risk entry into new markets. And that's the critical element of CanExport SME. So it is meant for companies that are looking to enter a new market. There are certain countries in the world that are broken up into sub-regions for the SME program. For example, the US and China are broken up into 4 sub-regions each. But most countries are considered their own region for the purpose of this program. So on eligibility for this program, you can see some points listed here on the right. This program is available to companies that are somewhat established. You've declared revenues of between 100,000 Canadian dollars to 100 million in your previous tax reporting year. This program covers 75% of certain expenses that are related to entry into a new market. So the values that you see there, 15,000 to 75,000 for this program, would mean that your expenses would be between $20,000 and $100,000 in order to be eligible for this program. The largest category for this program used to be travel expenses and participation in trade shows. That has obviously changed after COVID. You will see that there are a number of categories that are eligible at this moment, including creation of new marketing tools, translation expenses, legal expenses incurred with respect to intellectual property protection, certification of your product, as well as SEO marketing expenses. That was a new category that was added post-COVID to this funding program. So if you're interested in this program, have a look online at all of the different expense categories. There are 7 categories that are available. Really, just to stress, this is for entry into a new market where you have little or no sales, and the activity that you want to partake in is going to help you expand into that new market. The Can Export Innovation Program is slightly different. This is meant, sorry, I don't know if you can see this. That might be better. This program is meant for any innovators that are looking to establish R&D partnerships. And the purpose of that R&D partnership is to co-develop technology, validate technology, or adapt a technology. So technology validation, it works with with early adopters of the technology on clinical trials, piloting projects, and other tests. Technology adaptation is to meet regulatory requirements or expand your technology's capabilities for new sectors or new markets. And technology co-development is integrating your technology with a partner's technology to create a new offering, or using a partner's knowledge and expertise to advance the development of your own technology. You'll see here there is no minimum expense that can be that is required for this program. The maximum contribution that we would make, again, is $75,000. And this program as well is a 75% expense coverage of any R&D expenses that you may have. This program is open to all Canadian innovators. That includes SMEs, academic institutions, and non-governmental research centers. What we mean by that is if somebody has the intellectual property rights for this, for the technology that you're trying to develop, that entity or individual can apply for this program. You must be at a TRL 4 level or higher. So we use the NRC IRAP scale to determine that, and that is a prototype. And you have to have a potential to commercialize your technology within 5 years. Again, this program was intended to cover the cost of travel or meeting with partners or investors. This has, of course, changed again because of COVID. So virtual meetings, any expenses related to platforms that are required to meet with foreign partners and investors, or virtual participation in trade missions or events are also covered. You will see that there are a few other expense categories that have been added to this program, including certification or intellectual property protection. Some of these are a bit redundant from the from the Can Export SME program. What you really have to look at is whether or not the certification process or the IP protection process will lead you to sales, or whether it will lead you to R&D development in order to figure out which program is a better fit for you. One point at the bottom there, shipping fees are included. So if you need to send your prototype to another country in order to move forward on a project, that's one expense that is covered. Another program that I wanted to highlight is the Canadian International Innovation Program. Global Affairs Canada runs this program that where Canada has STI, Science, Technology, and Innovation agreements in place with certain countries. Those countries are listed here. We've got Brazil, China, India, Israel, and South Korea. There are two types of expenses that companies are eligible for this program. One of them is called a partnership development activity, and the other is the research itself. The CIIP program covers up to 50% of costs associated with a partnership development activity, or 50% of the total project cost. So partnership development activities have been organized by our trade commissioners abroad. There have been over 30 activities that have been organized in the last 5 years. And these are focused on specific sectors with the goal of you meeting a partner that you would want to co-develop technology with. As I mentioned, there's 50% of the cost of those travel expenses or other expenses are covered up to $15,000. At this point, this year, we have moved into organizing virtual events. And following the successful identification of a partner, a Canadian company and that foreign partner can submit a application for the research and development costs. Again, we cover up to a maximum of $600,000, and 50% of R&D costs can be covered. Another really great support program that's available to Canadian companies is the Canadian Technology Accelerator. This is an initiative that has been launched in 11 cities around the world, including in Asia, the US, Mexico, and Europe. There are different acceleration programs. Some of them are focused on are sector agnostic, others are focused on specific sectors, as you see there. This program aims to bring in growth stage companies that have raised, typically have raised their seed round of funding already. We like to recommend that companies have between $500,000 and $1 million raised, or that much in revenue in order to get the most benefits of this program. Since the inception of this program, we've served 547 companies. They have raised $626 million in capital. They've generated $230 million in revenue, and they've created over 1,000 partnerships. It is a program that you need to be committed to because it runs typically between 2 and 4 months, and therefore it's important that you have targeted that region as a region of longer-term relationship development in order to get the maximum value. I should also mention that we have a number of initiatives in place for diverse business owners. So we have dedicated support for export-ready, export-active businesses that are owned by women, Indigenous people, visible minorities, and members of the LGBTQ2 community, and other groups that are traditionally underrepresented in international trade, like youth. Some of our initiatives also help exporters in inclusive trade groups better access right interlocutors and increase their chances of making solid connections. Some of our initiatives have been organized with large corporations and have included supplier diversity days, for example. As the TCS, we work very closely with our partners in Canada. A lot of our funding programs are administered in collaboration with NRC IRAP. We work closely with Export Development Canada and associations as well as provincial groups in supporting Canadian businesses as depending upon the needs that you may have. George will speak to this some more, but when you work with us, we also bring in our partners and make sure that you're getting all of the support that you need in order to internationalize your markets as well as grow in Canada. So how to get in touch with us. For those of you that may be in different parts of Canada, you will see all of our email addresses are listed here. British Columbia and the Yukon, our email address is listed at the bottom there. So send us an email, let us know what your product is, let us know what markets you're interested in, and send us your pitch deck if you have one, and we will be happy to speak with you and let you know what we can help you with and foster connections. So that ends my presentation. I would highly encourage you to create an account on our website, tradecommissioner.gc.ca. We have over 20,000 companies that have registered on MyTCS. This will give you access to all of the up-to-date information on our reports and our trade missions. So I'll leave it there and I will pass it over to George, and hopefully he is online now and able to share with you some information on domestic funding programs. Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Or maybe Ramneet, can you confirm that you can hear me?
We can hear you, George.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. We went through a bit of a technical glitch in the beginning, but we'll catch up very soon. So I'm sharing my desktop. If you have any issues seeing it, let me know. I'd like to just quickly, in the time remaining, I'll try and leave some time for questions as well, give you an overview of the services that we provide at Innovation Canada. Generally speaking, the focus of our effort are towards providing funding through a number of programs, and I'll talk quickly about that. And then a number of services, especially advisory services, with the intent to understand your needs and then point you to the right programs and people who you can connect with in order to get the support that you need. And again, we're talking about customized service here. So advisory service, we'll get into a bit more details, but before I do that, Innovation Canada provides a few other services. There's programs such as Innovative Solutions Canada, where you can follow the challenges that the federal government puts up as far as technical or technology and business solutions that they're looking for, and you can participate in that. Strategic Innovation Fund is also a funding program that typically supports companies that are about to scale significantly, and they require resources, in particular funding. Typical program cost in order to start talking with this team of Strategic Innovation Fund is $30 million minimum. So again, when you're at that stage, obviously that's something to consider. We can talk about that in details at the time. Clean Growth Hub is another team that we have, and their focus is on clean technologies. They provide the advisory services. They connect clients with the right programs that support that type of industry sector. And then superclusters, you may be familiar with at least the digital technology superclusters based out of Vancouver, but there are 4 other superclusters in other domains. The intent there is to create an ecosystem of companies that partner together to work on collaborative projects, collaborative technologies, and deployments. And the service they provide is through advisory, but also some level of funding. in conjunction with the funding that comes from private sector. And then BizPal and Explore IP are platforms, self-serve platforms where you can go and get information about how to set up a business as far as licenses and requirements that you have to operate. That's BizPal. Or if you're about to start the road on looking for intellectual property on your solutions, then Explore IP provides a wealth of information for you to identify if you're playing in the right space, the documentation you might need in order to file, and all of that. But back to advisory services, which is really the team that I'm part of. The focus of our team as we connect with companies essentially of any size, but in particular startups, is to guide those organizations towards the funding and support programs that are available at various levels of the government, whether they're federal programs, provincial programs, or in some cases municipal programs. And as we connect with our clients, we like to listen to their story, to understand their needs, what they're working on, and then provide advice from our own background. I'll talk a little bit about who we are as a team as far as skills, but also to point to the relevant programs that will provide that support. And the whole idea of this team of advisory or advisors came from the need for organizations to get access to funding and to information much faster than if they try and navigate themselves through a myriad of websites or other sources that are available. So that we're trying to just clear that path, make it more nimble to give you access to what you need, and essentially, point to the path you should be going on. It is a free service. It is provided by the Government of Canada, of course. And we provide this support in about 3 different ways. We're showing 2 here. So we have the web platform, innovation.canada.ca. If you have a chance to go visit, essentially what you will see is a self-serve tool where you enter a small number of data points that frames the organization that you are and the needs that you have at this stage. And once you do that, the platform will serve you, will offer you a number of options to consider as far as programs. And that's, ranging from funding that can be provided for many opportunities to secure loans, to look at tax credits that you may be able to access through the applications of various programs, hiring, all that. So we've launched this service about 2 years ago, maybe under, and since then across Canada we've had over 2 million unique visitors that essentially took advantage of this service. We're constantly improving the accuracy of the recommendations that we're making, as well as the number of programs that we list and give you the opportunity to review. We're currently at over 1,300 different programs. This is across Canada, across all provinces and municipalities that we've connected with. We're constantly growing that catalog in order to serve you better, and we're making an effort to narrow down the results to what's most relevant for each client in their particular situation. The other way we support companies is by engaging our innovation advisors. And we've created this team starting last year, but really took solid shape across the country about a year ago. And who we are, we're a group of people who came from the industry, most of us with over 15 years of experience and work in private industry in various roles. We bring with us a lot of the knowledge from the industry, from the fields that we've serviced or served in, combined with high education, combined mostly with the understanding of how business is being done in the private sector. So the intent here is, as you connect with us, we resonate right away with your problems, and we try and troubleshoot together, and then point you to the right service to accelerate your developments and your growth. As you talk to my colleagues across the country, essentially you will see that the backgrounds may vary from people with PhDs and Stanford or Harvard, to doctors, to lawyers, to people who work for and grew global companies, some of them at Amazon or SAP or a few others. So it's a good, that's what we hear from our clients, a good opportunity to brainstorm, to kind of work together towards the best set of programs to support your business. And we do this not as a one-time interaction, but rather as a every 3-6 months, as the business needs change, we re-engage and consider what else can be done to support our clients. We're a national team, and I point this to just make the point that Ramneet also made, is we can branch out to other provinces. Your business may be expanding across Canada, or maybe be need to learn more about specific business particularities in other provinces, so we can provide that. We will work with you and try and get you, not just hand off to some website or a piece of information, a catalog, but kind of open doors and try and put you in contact with the people who own the programs, or people who may have the information that you require. And some examples that we came across recently, we've done a lot of great work, part of the COVID initiative, where we assessed and really worked with a lot of companies, but a few we essentially went and kind of broke all the barriers, all the silos, and connected them into the departments they needed to work with right away, such as Health Canada, or other organizations that could provide either funding, advisory, or to open markets for them. So we're pretty proud about that, and that's what we do essentially day and night. And we would just be very happy to have you, as your needs kind of arise, work with us, and just take advantage of the service. Another service that we provide, and I'm bringing this up, it's for companies that already established themselves. They have a product, they have a market, they're selling, so maybe they're in the range of $5 million or above, or slightly below 5 million, but growing fast. And to those companies, as we identified that they have an opportunity to grow fast, we recommend a service that we call Accelerated Growth Service. And what this is an opportunity for the client, that particular client, to come in and pitch their growth plan that may include technology innovation, may include hiring, expanding in new markets. Essentially, their plan as to how they want to ramp up or scale very quickly, to pitch that to our key government partners who have the highest potential to support them. And typically we bring in those meetings representatives from IRAP, from BDC, from EDC, Export Development Canada, from WD, and probably missing another one that I can't remember right now, or any other partner that makes sense for that particular business case, if you will. So the advantage is, in one room, typically we do it in person, we're doing it online now. We hear the client's pitch, and then we let each of the partners that can make an impact to support that client, provide feedback, ask questions, get more clarifications, and ultimately the hope is the service delivery, right? The support that's required, hopefully will get started much sooner than if that particular client would have to be pointed separately to each of those organizations or funding programs. So highly recommend this to keep in mind. If you're at that stage, again, let me know. If you're trending towards that, let's just stay in close contact and put you on path to take advantage of this offering. And lastly, just for an exemplification, I did put everything that I just said a little bit in the context of how a business typically works and operates, right? So this is an example of some, again, programs that may be suitable at various stages of growth of an organization, right? From idea phase all the way to really high growth. They're example of programs. They're not what we recommend automatically. Everything, gets fine-tuned based on the discussions that we have with you about what you're trying to accomplish in the next 12 to 18 months. And then we go back from there to break it down into pieces that require support. What you see here, so you're in idea phase, maybe you're just starting crystallizing your thoughts, you're looking about market research, business planning, maybe you register your company again, we can provide point you to the services, do that. You're starting to work on an early prototype. We'll guide you to what's available there. Maybe it can take advantage of some wage subsidies to bring some co-op students to do part of the work that you're doing, tracking your expenses for future shred claims. We'll just see what the best mix is there, and then as you are really deep into developing a product, a solution, taking it to market almost. Again, there's programs that can support that, and we'll assess what that is, right? Whether you go to IRAP directly for their services, or you're partnering with a university or college in Canada to continue or extend your research, amplify your research capability. MyTax and answer programs may be suitable. And then as you get to a commercial stage, and obviously working capital and reaching out to new markets becomes critical. We can talk about funding that you may access through BDC or EDC in export markets, or the vast support that the Global Affairs Canada and Trade Commissioner Service provide as Ramneet present and performing. And then pretty much tailor, ending with the really high growth scaling of your business. You're looking for a lot of funding, so business scale up and productivity may be an option for you. Free interest loans up to $5 million, or maybe you're considering a strategic innovation fund if your project cost over a number of years starts at least $30 million. So in this context, we're kind of having the discussions when we connect with each other. Either you reach out to me or have an opportunity through an event, or other ways to get in contact to talk about your business. This is all that I wanted to present. I'm not going into details of any of the programs. Just to sum it up, we are a pathfinding service, free service, with lots of experience in industry, but also with a great understanding of the government programs that may support you. So we will do an assessment of where you are at with your business, what your plans are, and from there we'll try and get you the access to the best programs to support you, to the best people to work with you on that. I put up here my contact, so if you after meeting have questions, or you would like to get in touch with me, my email address is on your left here. Very glad to be part of this presentation, and I hope we'll have a chance to continue to work together. And I'll open it up for questions.
There was one, George, on providing support to health companies. And I can talk about our support, but perhaps you want to go first. Do you offer programs? I can't read it. Do you offer programs for startups, pre-registry in the health industry?
Again, it all depends what support means, but there's a lot of pre-revenue companies that we work with, and depending what stage they're at pre-revenue, they may be working on developing a technology, right? So we can point them to, various programs. IRAP is the one that comes to mind. Everybody's really excited about that. But there's also the opportunity to co-develop or at least, hand off some of the research over to a university group. So we can work, and look at the NSERC program as an example. Very often earlier stage, the focus is ideally is to raise funds or get some grants, but that can also be accomplished by hiring fresh graduates, or maybe co-op interns to do part of the work that can be done at a much more economical cost. So I'll have to have that discussion on the specific use case, but absolutely pre-revenue. And by the way, if you're biotech, a lot of the work and cost occurs pre-revenue. So we can look at programs that can provide even funding at larger scale than just BIM.
Just to add from Global Affairs Canada, many of the health tech companies we work on are pre-revenue. In fact, we find in that sector, a lot of them need help at the earlier stages of commercialization. So on the R&D partnership side, accessing international contacts is key for them. I would say maybe have a look at that TRL for definition, and particularly for the CanExport Innovation Program, because that would be the program funding program that you would be eligible for. So if you meet that threshold and criteria, you would be a good fit for us. One other question here that's popped in: do you support funding for moving companies from USA to BC? And that's from Sanjeev. Sanjeev, depending on where you are in the US, it would be useful for you to connect with our trade commissioner colleagues at the consulates or the embassy in the US, and they can provide you with some resources, which is often connecting you to the right provincial and municipal partners to learn more about moving into Canada. Go ahead.
I see a question around helping with work visa and PR. I would need to know the context of that. Generally speaking, if the company is based out of Canada already, there is a work visa program, the Global Talent Program that is typically helping with accelerating getting your employees a work visa. And then the question was around the permanent residency. I haven't seen anything around that, but typically getting people in to start working, right? First of all, they make an impact to organization. But second of all, I think once they're in, it becomes a bit more streamlined to look at, options such as permanent residency. But that would be on the individual basis as opposed to a program support.
Daniel had a question here on building more bridges with other countries. Can we expand areas to reach to other than Israel? So I'm assuming, Daniel, you're asking on the CIIP program. Interestingly, so we have science, technology, innovation agreements with those 5 countries. I spoke about 2 different expense categories or 2 different types of expenses that are covered. Partnership development activity. That initiative has been expanded to Germany and France, I believe. So there are a couple countries in the EU that you can look at. There's also a program that I would recommend you look at called Eureka. That is a network of R&D projects it's a network of organizations from the EU. It was initially meant to bridge collaboration between countries in the EU. So all countries in the EU are part of Eureka. Canada signed on as a member. That program is run out of NRC IRAP. So there are a number of initiatives that you could try to access through that. There's a on assuming that companies need to be CCPC even though they're registered in Canada to apply for this assistance. No, Lance, that's not necessarily correct. CCPC is more it's related to your SHRED eligibility. So CCPC and non-CCPC status will determine how much you get back as a SHRED credit. Every government program has its own eligibility requirements. So what I spoke about at the outset of our presentation were the 4 elements that would qualify you as a client. So that includes your commitment to internationalization, your footprint in Canada, your ability to export. I can go back and look at the full client definition, but essentially you could be acquired by a U.S. company as long as substantial footprint here where you're doing R&D, you're creating a product here, you're creating jobs and revenue in Canada, you would be considered a client of the TCS as long as you have that ability to put resources towards internationalization.